judge. She gave exactly what they asked for. And then he got out and then killed 2 innocent lives.
Calls tonight for justice for Meshay Melendez, from her loved ones and from victim advocates who say the system failed miserably. The bodies of Melendez and her 8-year-old daughter were found in a rural part of Clark County Wednesday, 10 days after they were last seen. Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Ray Gazaway.
And I'm Deborah Knapp. Melendez's boyfriend, Kirkland Warren, is a person of interest in this case. K2's Emily Gersh is at the Clark County Courthouse. So, Emily, what do advocates say went wrong here?
Well, I spoke with Michelle Bart, the president and CEO of the National Women's Coalition Against Violence and Exploitation. She says Kirkland Warren's criminal record shows he was an extreme risk of lethality to Melendez, and she doesn't believe he should have been released from jail earlier this month.
In this particular case, of all the hundreds of cases I've worked on, this, by far, is one of the most painful cases.
Melendez and her daughter were found slain in a wooded area in Clark County on Wednesday. Here is the timeline of events leading up to that discovery. Court documents show Warren was arrested on March 2nd for shooting at Melendez's home in December. On March 3rd, he was released on bail in order to have no contact with Melendez. On March 6th, he was arrested again for violating a protection order by calling Melendez from jail. On March 8th, he was released from jail. On March 12th, the last reported sighting of Melendez and her daughter, and witnesses say they were with Warren in his car. On March 18th, her family reported Melendez and her daughter missing. On March 20th, Warren was arrested and charged with tampering with a witness, violating a protection order, and unlawful possession of a firearm. On March 21st, Warren was named a person of interest in the disappearance of Melendez and her daughter, and a judge ordered that bail be increased to $1 million. They also ordered ankle monitoring. On March 22nd, the bodies of Melendez and her daughter were found. Family friend Jean Booth is Meshay's godmother.
She was so beautiful, so outgoing. She was a great mom. And Layla was the most gorgeous. She probably would have been a supermodel if given the chance to grow up. God, it breaks my heart.
Court documents show Warren scored a 31 on a danger assessment scale that only went up to 18. He also has an indictment for murder in Arkansas from 2017. Bart says the court system knew this information and failed to protect Melendez and her daughter.
And when somebody ranks a 31 with a maximum of only 18, that should be a huge red flag to keep them locked up. So shame on the county. Shame on the county.
Now, Warren remains a person of interest in this case, but police say he has not been charged for their deaths. Meanwhile, a grieving family is preparing to bury a daughter and her granddaughter as they wait for justice. The detective I spoke with said it's not an easy task to pass legislation that would keep dangerous criminals behind bars. She says the passing of the 2020 Tiffany Hill Act was a significant achievement, but although it wasn't applied in this case, there's no way to tell if it would have helped save the lives of Meshay Melendez and her daughter. On Wednesday morning, the worst-case scenario played out for the family of 27-year-old Meshay Melendez and her 8-year-old daughter, Layla Stewart. Their bodies identified, found in a remote part of Clark County. Vancouver police say Melendez's boyfriend, Kirkland Warren, is a person of interest, citing prior charges of domestic violence that include shooting at Melendez's home earlier this month. According to court documents, on March 6th, Warren was released on bail. On March 12th, Melendez and her daughter disappeared after last being seen with him.
I personally would love to see that when we have a high or extreme risk lethality, that judges will automatically order offender monitoring for our victims.
In 2020, Vancouver police detective Tanya Wolstein testified in favor of the Tiffany Hill Act, a law that allows courts to order domestic violence offenders to wear GPS ankle devices and send victims notifications if they are nearby. Wolstein says Warren scored a 31 on a danger assessment scale used to determine the risk of lethality to domestic violence victims. Anything 18 or higher is considered an extreme risk. But under Washington law, judges can only deny bail for capital offenses. Wolstein thinks it will take the whole community, police, prosecutors, legislators, and the public, working together to fight for a new law that would keep high risk of lethality offenders behind bars.
This is a big ask, and it's not something that it's going to require bipartisan support. It's going to require, I believe, the public to get behind this, because it does require a vote. It does require the citizens to say, we want this to be different in domestic violence cases where we have a high risk of lethality and we have repeated offenses, and we can show that the offender does pose a significant danger to the victim.
After roughly 10 days of searching, Clark County deputies made the grim discovery. 2 bodies matching the descriptions of Melendez and Stewart were found off of a small road near Washougal. Deputies say they only searched the area after someone walking their dog saw something strange. Take a listen.
A person was out walking their dog, and they thought that they had seen kind of down an embankment off of an area just a little bit from here, kind of what they thought was actually like mannequins. And their concern is that people would call in thinking that they may be bodies. So, a deputy went out and checked it and then realized that they were actually 2 people deceased.
Deputies made that discovery around 11 this morning. It was off of a single-lane road that accesses a few private properties. Vancouver police say they believe the bodies are those of Melendez and Stewart because they match their general descriptions and unique identifying genetic marks. The medical examiner's office will confirm the identities and the causes of death. And Vancouver police so far have identified this man, Kirkland Warren, who is Melendez's boyfriend, as a person of interest in this case. There is a history of Warren targeting Melendez, including a drive-by shooting that happened earlier this month, according to court documents. We're going to give you a quick recap of some recent events here. On March 2nd, Vancouver police arrested Warren for drive-by shooting, assault, and making threats to kill. He posted bail and was released and was ordered not to contact Meshay Melendez, who was the primary victim of that shooting. The morning of March 12th, according to police, is the last time anyone saw Melendez or her 7-year-old daughter, Layla Stewart. A friend of hers was looking after the daughter and told police that Warren picked up the child with Melendez in the car. Melendez, according to that friend, was unresponsive and partially undressed at the time. A week later, on March 19th, Vancouver police issued a search warrant at Warren's residence, where he was arrested again for the drive-by shooting and for violating that order against him contacting Melendez. Police say they found her phone in Warren's possession when officers arrested him. Court documents also show police are investigating threatening phone calls Warren allegedly made to Melendez while he was booked in jail. 3 days later, officers found 2 bodies matching the descriptions of Melendez and Stewart in a brush near Washougal. And right now, Warren is being held at the Clark County Jail on a $1 million bond. We should also mention that Warren is facing a murder charge for a 2017 killing in Jefferson County, Arkansas. On Friday, a judge there revoked his bond.